This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
We are now on the final day of the final convention for the Winter Carnival here in Pigeon Forge, and I'm here for one final time with my friend who I will be crossing off my list after today, Mr. Jeff Case. No, just
I'd be crossed off. No, crossing me off the list. Yeah, I have. That's the truth. I get it.
And added to other lists.
Yeah,
You're on my list now, man.
That's right. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. So good to see you, as
good to
always.
see you,
Last time,
man.
I think, was at Trixx when
It
we were in North
was.
Carolina, because you live in the general
I live
area.
in Greensboro, which is probably about an hour and 10 minutes from there.
Are you part of the Slight Club, by the way?
No. We have Steve Beam and I and a few other guys get together in Cary. Well, sorry, he lives in Cary. We get together in Apex,
Okay.
which is about an hour and 15 from my house, too. So I'm in the middle of the state. It's easy for me to get.
Easy to, okay.
Yeah.
Now, you've also been attending this for a long number of years.
Yes, I
assume.
went back in, I'm trying to think how far back it was, in the 90s when it was in Gatlinburg. And then, when they started bringing it over here. My favorite one was, sorry, y'all, it was in 1998. It was Johnny Ace Palmer, Tommy Wonder, and Johnny Thompson. They had other talent, too, don't get me wrong,
Sure.
but, I mean, that was like power punch. I remember sitting on the front row watching Tommy Wonder, the whole time my jaw's on the floor, and this is a dumb story, but it's fun for me.
Yeah.
I was actually repping products for Magic Smith back then,
Okay.
Chris Smith.
Chris Smith, right.
Yeah. And, after all that, I'm in the demoing and doing stuff. And I was fixing something on the table, and I look up, and there's Tommy Wonder. And, I mean, all the color went out of my face, and he wanted to see Jiggernaut, right?
sure.
Mark Genestrix. Now, I have a different version, but
Okay.
I don't even remember what I said or did. It was like, I got to show
Abba,
Tommy
abba, abba,
Wonder
abba.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was so gracious and nice. It was great. But I hate to see this end. I don't know why they're ending it, but
Well, the easy answer is it's going to be more expensive to have a hosting hotel because the Dollywood's going to be open year-round.
Yeah.
And number two is this theater is going to be operating more regularly throughout the year. So
it's a business decision.
It's
I
a business
guess, but
decision,
it
exactly. I mean, the problem is there's nowhere else right now for people to go who get together annually to see their friends.
And a lot of folks come from areas that they can't get all the way to Charlotte, or something like that. But anyway. But I'm happy to be here.
Well, you mentioned about the one with Tommy Wonder. You're not the first one who'd mentioned that, actually, when I've been asking people some of their favorite memories.
Okay.
Someone else had also said the one with Tommy Wonder was just absolutely wonderful that year.
And then Johnny Ace, what a gracious guy that guy is.
Yeah.
And if you've never, that was the first time I'd heard about his act.
Yeah.
But I'd never seen it because, this was the early days of the internet, And so I remember Chris Smith talking to me on the phone, and he goes, man, Johnny's going to be looking for you because I told him to find you. And he said, but just make sure you're at that lecture, whatever you do,
Yeah.
And this was back when they would let the dealer's room close and you could go to the lectures. I don't know if they still do that here. But, man, I'll never forget that. Again, I'm, 2 or 3 seats away from the front row. You just have, I don't want to say it because maybe no one's ever seen his Physimac.
Sure.
If you've never seen that,
yeah.
you cannot expect what happens. It's just like, oh my gosh, it was fantastic. That's what is fun magic. It's like not just surprised, but just stunned at like that can't happen. And
Right.
it was absolutely amazing. God, I'm blathering on. I'm sorry.
No, that's exactly what I want to hear. I want to know, some of these kinds of memories and things. I had someone, as I was walking out of the hotel yesterday, 2 guys, older fellows, walked in. He said, "Are any of the dealers in the rooms here showing?" And I said, "They haven't done that in years." And he said,
they
"I
did used to do that.
Yeah.
I forgot all about that. You're right. They did.
Yeah, so rather than having a dealer's room, they said, okay, you go into this guy's room, and they were all kind of side by side, and that was way back when. Another memory I have, of course, was Frank Furky and his wife, Jerry, used to host some parties way back there in Gatlinburg, too. That was fun.
That's right. Yeah, that was good stuff. That was fun times.
I think it's, I can't remember if it was 4F or if it was Winter Carnival I first met Glenn Strange. It might have been
He
here.
was an early 4F'er back when it was still at the Forks Hotel. He's in some of those early pictures.
Well, me
even
too.
before Steve Beam, actually. I know you're in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But which was wild. You don't. You
started
now
back
when
in
you see
'83.
Yeah, when you look at Glenn, and I've told him this, I'm like, no one expects, because the way he took his magic, the direction that he took
Right.
it in, like, this is an old sleight of hand, you know. It's wild what people end up doing.
Well, he's so funny, and he goes by the NASCAR magician, I think,
Yeah,
or
I
he
think
did. Does he
something
still
like
do
that.
that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, you're the redneck magician.
Yeah, hey, I'm the regal redneck. Don't forget, I'm a classy redneck. Now, come on.
What differentiates you in that regard?
I just dress nice and smell good. That's pretty much it. And I have all my teeth. Yeah, and but
you're in a box at home.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah. Oh man, you about made me cry on that one. That was funny.
And I remember also you were talking about having a deck of cards, or actually some ESP
Yes,
cards.
and,
Has that been released yet?
No, everybody's asking me about that. I have egg on my face, so to speak. We ran into it is a minor issue, but we got to fix it. We ran into, I don't even want to, it's not a copyright thing, but, you know, magicians can just be persnickety sometimes.
A little bit.
And sometimes they're,
pretty protective.
As I'm going to quote a line from a movie, my mom's going to kill me if she knows I said this, but, you know, sometimes they're a-holes with S's, you know, so it was the marking, so, but yes, we're hoping to have them out by the spring. No later than the summer, but the Redneck ESP decks it's really going to be it's a lot of fun.
And where will those be available?
I'll have them.
Website?
Yeah, I'll put them on jeffcasemagic.com, and I'll be at some of the conventions. And you know, the development. It's very kind of you to ask about that. The development of it was really simply a character piece, more or less, because my character is me, you know, and a lot of people are like that, and everybody punches it up a little bit,
Exactly.
you know. But you know, I love ESP effects. That seems strange because I'm a card and coin, you know, but I like that kind of thing. But and they were invented in North Carolina at Duke University, you know, the ESP symbols at the Zinner Institute. And but nobody knows what they are anymore, right? So you have to explain it to them. And that's okay, right? You take out, hey, this is the plus sign, this is this. And I just thought one day, I said, well, if I have to explain it anyway, why don't I make it funny? So it's more engaging and entertaining, and I don't have any problem telling everybody what it is. So the first one is a can of Copenhagen. It's a circle. You know, the second one is the cross rifles because I was in the Marines. The third one, the wavy lines are bass fishing worms because, you know, we're rednecks do a lot of bass. I love bass fishing. The square is the bandana, and the star is a sheriff's star because all rednecks, we all know, either we have been on the sheriff's department, somebody in our family's on the sheriff's department, or we've just visited the sheriff's department probably more than once or twice. So it's. But I'm very excited about it. It's kind of like what John was talking about in his lecture a minute ago. You get them interested. You know, it's interesting. It's funny. And now when you hit them with an impactful routine.
It's going to be something I think that will resonate with them viscerally.
Oh, yeah. And I had one guy goes, well, what if somebody's not like y'all, like country and rednecks? I said, they love it. You know, I told you. I think I told you last time. My buddy Brady Glenn he's a regular at the castle. He calls me. He doesn't do it as much anymore because his son gotten a little older now. He used to call me randomly and like, hey, I got Bryce in the car with me. He wants you to say some stuff. And Bryce would have a list of things that he would want me to say. He goes, can you say this? And he would just
with your accent.
Oh, yeah. And he would just sit back there and laugh. And then, oh, God, I'm blathering. But I'm trying to think of the guy's name. Steve, I think it's Steve Taylor. Anyway, he's from Greenville, a guy named Steve. Mm-hmm. We were up in the condo, and he said, I said something about catching something on fire, and he goes, fire? I said, it's fire. He goes, it's fire. And I go, not where I'm from, fire. You know, and it you know, I just embrace who I am. You know, that's it. I try to be kind and nice to everybody, and I live by the Patrick Swayze rule, you know.
Which is?
The Roadhouse rule, man. The original Roadhouse rule, right? You be nice. So what do you do if somebody does something? Be nice. Until it's time to not be nice, you know. So we try not to do that.
Yeah. So from here, as far as another convention, I mean, I know I see you there at Trixx. So
I will be at 4F this year. I couldn't go last year, but I've already got my tickets and stuff, so I'll be at 4F this year. And I hope to get to perform. I think I'm on the list. I'm not really sure yet, but it'll be the redneck card stab that they want me to. If I get to do it, that was the trick. That you know, Beam's a good buddy of mine, and he was like, "That's the one I want you to do if you get to do it." So we'll do that, and it's a lot of fun. But I just enjoy getting to see everybody. That's the thing that's it's exciting and sad, because gosh, some of the guys I don't get to see unless I'm at Winter Carnival.
Right.
But it'll work. Things have a way of something
do.
will happen.
That's
something
right.
will work out, and something
when,
will.
When one door closes and a window opens.
Oh yeah. And man, it's just been. I've been listening to your exploits and travels and stuff as always, and it cracks me up. And yes, you've had some good interviews too. I mean, tons of them over the years. But yeah, it's just been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you, Jeff. I'm glad to get a chance to sit down and chat with you here one last time for this convention.
I'm honored to be talked to. There's a whole lot better people than me you could ask. So, but I sure appreciate that. And I hope we get to see each other. I'm sure we're going to be at Trixx. They moved it. I'll put a plug in for Scott Robinson. Trixx is going to be this year. It's actually a little bit later. And if I'm doing this by memory, y'all, okay? So I think it is actually the week before Thanksgiving. I think it's that weekend before Thanksgiving weekend. But I do know they moved it. We're in the same area at the university area, but we're across the street
it's
now.
It's not the same hotel?
No. The Holiday Inn is doing renovations.
Okay.
So he moved it across the street to the Hilton, which I think is going to be bigger rooms and stuff. And you can ask him about it.
Okay.
But yeah, if you've never been to Trixx, you need to go. It's close up and parlor. I'd say 85% close up, 15% parlor, and it's a lot of fun. And,
it is, and I also say there's limited room. So if you're interested, register soon.
And I think the registrations are getting close to being full as it is. Yeah, it's a great time. So.
I saw Scott Robinson. If I have a chance, maybe I can chat with him before the day's out on Tier 2.
I about didn't recognize him with his new longer hair. Did you?
I did notice that. Yeah.
I'm losing mine, and his is still growing.
He's kind of looking more like got that Tom Cruise cut or something.
He wishes. He wishes it was Tom Cruise. But anyway.
Yeah. Jeff, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Good catching up
Always
with you,
a pleasure to see you, man. Thank you so much.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Jeff Case. This is Scotty out.
Yeah.
Into day 3, there were so many different highlights I want to kind of pinpoint throughout this last weekend that we'll be bringing up. But as we go into day 3, there will be so many more cool things that are happening, including the close-up show that's going to be just, somebody said earlier, one of the most expensive close-up shows because of the people they brought in, Giovanni Lavera and Paul Wilson and others. And John Allen, et cetera. Anyhow, but starting off this whole convention was Tiffany Sauvage, or Tiffany Allen, who was married to Boris Wilde, and I learned that Sauvage means wild. So there you go. Wonder where that came from. And she was talking, gave an excellent lecture about the Georgia Wonder, or the Georgia Magnet, and I've got her with me right now. Hello, Tiffany.
Hey, Scott.
So good to see you here. And so you've had a great time at this convention?
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. This is only my second time here.
Only your second one of these?
Only my second one of these.
I mean, you used to live in the area, before you moved to France, but you were kind of a Southeast girl.
Yeah, but having to get time off and PTO and all that. And
That's true.
I was using most of it to go out to the castle to see Boris perform when he was in town. So
right.
Yeah, it never quite worked out. But the last time I was here was probably about 8 years ago, and I competed in the close-up contest, and that was the first contest that I did. And I came in second. Some guy named Eric Tate came in first. So
wonder how it ever worked out for him. Where he ever ended up.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear he has a magnificent beard.
Which, by the way, he's going to be one of the people on the close-up show this afternoon too.
Oh, I know. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah. It's overall going to be just a fantastic show. As well, this evening's gala is going to be great. But when you were working on your lecture for Georgia Wonder, did you find the book first of all, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it's kind of a chicken and egg situation because I'd heard about the Georgia Wonder and I didn't even know the name of it for a couple of years after hearing about it. And then, so I knew about it, but then I got the notes. I'm trying to remember how I actually got them. I think I brought it up at Slight Club and somebody sent them to me. But it was like a Xerox of a Xerox of a Xerox. It was just horrible quality. But I was so interested in it, so I went through it and I read it and just going through all kinds of other books, like John Fisher's Body Magic and that kind of thing. And some of the stuff was passed down too. And Tom Jorgensen, did a ton on there too.
I haven't seen Tom in a long time. What's he up to?
I've never met him.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't, no. Huh. But one of my favorite things that ever happened with the Georgia Wonder was I posted something about it, and he told me I was doing a good job with it.
Right.
And I was like, oh, I have his blessing. We're good.
Well, I'm sure, like with the Slight Club, since, again, you were the first female member of the Slight Club out there, and you were still trying to find your way and your path, and then really wanted to follow historical women. And you've done a lot of research on this, and I recommend, by the way, Bill Smith, if you're listening, consider booking her for an upcoming Magic Collectors Expo, because it's a wonderful lecture that people should hear about. And she's got a great act then as well, and you're continuing to add more things to the act. The act right now is about 12 minutes-ish?
Yeah, so the full Georgia Wonder act is about 12 minutes, give or take, and sometimes I can stretch it just a little bit, but I can mainly condense it down if needed. So like at 4F, I condensed it down to 5 minutes. Yeah. Because I wasn't going overtime at 4F.
Have you been injured by people picking you up?
Yeah, I actually have. I usually end up with some bruises on my arm, like where they're doing the lift my hand, or try to lift my hand off my head. I usually end up with some bruises there. I did have a blood vessel popped one time. That was...
In your arm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a really big bruise. It was awful. But whenever I get, I call them, when I get a good bruise, I'll try to post a picture of it on socials and be like, hey, look, they're actually trying here. And I have cracked a rib. They weren't listening exactly. They're supposed to hold me for the lift. They're supposed to hold me by my waist and lift, just under the corset. They use the edge of the corset to brace against, and that's, again, to make them feel comfortable so they're not...
And they're lifting at the bone rather than in the soft part of the body.
Right, exactly. And it makes them feel more comfortable,
Sure.
that, they're not just manhandling me.
Right.
But it was my fault. I didn't do the correct audience management, and his hands were in the right position to begin with, but then he grabbed the underside of the corset and lifted me up by that, and what happened was it jammed into my rib and it cracked it.
Ouch.
Yeah, no, it was
Did you know right away?
Or
not until the next day?
I didn't know until... It wasn't the next day. Yeah, it bruised good. It bruised really good. But I mean, it was hurting afterward, but I just thought, I just thought I had a bruise, but...
There's not much you can do with a cracked rib except just, you can't bandage it, or...
Yeah, suck it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I iced it, but I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not, but...
Well, when you're a young person, it heals a lot faster than when you're older and you get more brittle bones.
Yeah, but it was not fun. It actually took me a while to get back to doing the act.
Yeah.
It took me a little longer because I was worried, and I couldn't wear the corset for a while.
Do you know how long the acts were for the original three ladies who were doing this?
No, and I haven't been able to find that either. And there's a couple things that I really want to find that I haven't been able to find yet. So I can't find the actual length of the act. And I don't know if I'm just maybe I read it and I overlooked it and I need to go back through some of my research, or if it just wasn't published. I don't know. So that's one thing I really want to find. The other one I want to find is Lulu Hurst's birthday. I don't know what it is. I can't find it. And I would like to go down to her hometown and everything, and I want to go through the archives and everything just to see if I can find it. But I haven't had time, but I'm hoping to do that later this year.
Well, got something on your bucket list to work
Always.
towards. So this being the last convention, so you said you've been here a time or two before?
Just one time.
Just one time.
Yeah.
What was your memory of the one you were here before versus this one? I mean, what kind of comes to mind that's been outstanding? Or memorable?
Yeah, well, for me, it was kind of a full circle moment because the first one that I came to, I was just getting into going to Magic conventions. I'd only been to a couple before, and I was like, you know what? I'd like to compete. I want to see what it does. And I was still very new to Magic. I didn't know a ton of people. I was really nervous, not all that confident. And now, 8 years or so later, I'm like, I'm going to open the convention by lecturing. And I was doing the Georgia Wonder at that time, but it was still very much in development. And now I'm like, here I am. It's funny how time changes things. But it's funny because there were people I met then that I haven't seen since that convention. And now I come back and it's like I saw them last year.
That is the funny thing about conventions.
Yeah.
It seems like time stands still because you can finish a conversation one year and you come back to that person the next year and it's like you almost pick up the same conversation where you left off.
Oh, it's great. And I love that. And I'm really sad this is going to be the last convention because I'm just like, I would love to come back, but
yeah, there's going to be a hole, I think, here for a while unless someone picks this up and does it somewhere.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can hope is that somebody's like that. They're just like, okay, won't work here anymore. Maybe we can move it just a little bit.
Right. Well, this was really the confluence of everything good from the standpoint of it being a destination location. So there are things for the family to do as far as shopping, amenities, amusements, different restaurants. Mm-hmm. So you have a real variety here. While the magicians are going to the magic convention, you got something that the family can do,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important, too. One of the conventions that I go to, ECSS, or I haven't been in a couple of years.
Which one?
East Coast Spirit Sessions.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, Bizarre Magic Convention. And, a lot of the women there, typically it's the wives. It's funny because they'll be like, Tiff, do you want to come to the winery and stuff with us? Because it's in Myrtle Beach.
It's a lecture.
Oh, yeah. And I'm like, I got to go to a lecture, but I also want to go hang out with y'all and drink wine. Yeah. So it's that same thing where it's like a destination thing, but I'm at that weird in-between in the Venn diagram where it's like I want to do both.
Yeah. You're an oddity.
I am, and I'm proud of that.
Yes, that's right. Take pride in that. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the convention. It's always good to see you. I look forward to the next time we get together then as well.
Me too, yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the convention. That was Tiffany Sauvage. This is Scotty out. One of the people who is going to be in the show later this evening is an illusionist who has worked with Ringling Brothers and has toured the world. He's an award-winning magician and is, I don't think, appeared at the Winter Carnival before, but is excited about being being in this particular spot, being the last performer and the last convention and the last show ever here for a Winter Carnival. I'm talking about David DaVinci, and I've got him with me here now. Hello, David.
Hey there. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Are you excited?
I am. Let me start with this. I'm humbled. Okay. I cannot believe, out of all the magicians in the world that you guys could have got, that I get to be here on such a special and momentous moment. It's really, I'm lost for words, to be honest.
You had told me off mic earlier about what your journey was as far as like the 4 days of getting here. Tell a little bit about your trials and travails.
Yeah, so it was a 4-day drive to get here. We went through, actually we had mostly good weather until we were just west of Chicago. We had to stop early and we hit just incredibly thick fog and rain and wind. So we stopped early that night. We didn't get to 12 to 15 hours of driving each day is what our goal was. But it was pretty intense. And then, of course, we've got the birds in the trailer. And so I'm up every hour or so checking my baby monitor to make sure that the generator's running, the birds are warm, everybody's happy and healthy. Well, meanwhile, my wife and daughter are passed out sleeping, enjoying the warmth of the nice, cozy bed. I'm out there refilling the generator in 15-mile-an-hour winds and in 15 degrees temperature Fahrenheit.
The life of an illusionist.
Yeah.
Yeah, show business is great.
It's just, that's the glamorous side that everybody misses.
Yeah. And so coming in tonight, you brought big illusions and animals and everything, so we're going to have it all.
Yeah, so I brought in all my own lighting. I thought, you know what, if I'm going to go big or go home, right? And I brought, I'm bringing the Dove Act. I have a parrot. Actually, I have 2 parrots in the show. I have large illusions, dancers, and my daughter is making her first convention appearance. So she's actually been performing with us for quite a while, and now she's 11 years old and will take part in her first magic convention. So she's having a fun time, too.
That is pretty cool. Now, as far as the dancers, are they part of your regular show, or are they someone that you picked up from the local dance studio here locally?
Yeah, I looked on Craigslist, and no. I reached out to a friend of mine who lives in town. I said, hey, buddy, I need to get 2 dancers. Mm-hmm. Here's a video of what they need to do. Basically, 2 counts of 8 is all I need, and they need to appear. Mm-hmm. And so he got me 2 girls who are fantastic, great work ethic, showed up early, were positive, ambitious, excited, all these amazing adjectives, and they did amazing in the rehearsal, and I can't wait to surprise the audience with them tonight, because unless they're listening to this first, nobody has any idea they're here. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Well, that's good that you can find that. And certainly here in, I started to say Branson, but here in Pigeon Forge, we're kind of like Branson. From the standpoint, they have a lot of theaters and everything like that. But there are dancers and banjo players. I was just talking with Tim Harklerood, I believe it was, who was one of the banjo players that opened up the last evening's show. And I had dinner with him, and he was saying you can't throw a rock without hitting a banjo player someplace, here in Pigeon Forge.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, for us, there's dancers, and there's good dancers, and there's dancers that have done magic shows before. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was, I don't want to say easy because I didn't do the work. My friend did, but yeah, he helped set me up with a couple of people that are great. They'll be great in the show.
So what's your experience so far that you have been to this? You haven't. This is the first time you've attended the Winter Carnival, I assume,
and it's the last time. I'm not coming back. Yeah. No, first and last time. But it's been awesome. It's really fun. I don't get to do a lot of magic conventions, and largely we're just traveling. We're busy, and it's hard to sometimes justify them. And so typically when I do come to magic conventions, we're working them.
Right.
And this one's been great. It's just we're able to load in early on Thursday. Everything's set up. It's not like load in, tech, set up, tear down, do the show, all that stuff, all in one day.
Yeah.
It's been really leisurely, and everybody's been super helpful. And when they say Southern hospitality, they mean it here. It's really the people are the best, and I have no complaints.
Has there been a show, a lecture, or something in the dealer's room or something that has attracted you? It's kind of like, hey, this is kind of cool, or something that stands out in your minds, like when you go back home and you think, the first thing you're going to tell somebody is, man, I saw this, or I learned this.
Yeah, I spent $1,000 with Fairchild Entertainment. They had something there I had to have, so... But it was really cool. I'm going to be up performing at Greg Fruin's Theater over Easter, and my daughter's coming with me on this show. And so she's in the Dove Act. She's in a few different pieces in the show. And I want to work her into other things. So I had, I believe it's Joe at Fairchild Entertainment, and I was like, hey, can you walk my daughter through how to set up this thing with the balloons and this and that? And so it was, it's different when a parent says something versus like, somebody who's an expert that built this thing. So he was gracious and walked her through how to set the prop. And then we've got a cool twist on how we're going to do it and integrate some animals and some other things. And so I had to have that and support the local vendors. I think that's really important as a headliner to come in and support the dealership, our dealer shop.
That kind of reminds me a little bit when you talk about your daughter being part of the act. One of the people who lectured here, first lecture, was Tiffany Allen or Tiffany Sauvage doing her Georgia Magnet or Georgia Wonder routine. And that'd be something that an 11-year-old child could do. I mean, she said, I can teach this to anybody, and she does, some of these things. That might be something just kind of fun if, saying, well, I'm going to have my daughter do something and then have her come out and then a volunteer come up on stage and have her do a couple of things. Just a thought.
Yeah, so it's kind of along those lines, and we wanted to take this idea where it's the pick a balloon, right? So there's 4 balloons on this tray, and they're all on this board or whatever, and they're all different colors. And I wanted to integrate an animal. Well, actually, okay, cheap shot here. The reason I put certain routines in is so I can give a magic kit away and pitch it, so I can talk about it from the stage, and we always sell them afterwards. If I don't do that, you don't sell anything. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is have a kid come up on stage, and my daughter will show everybody else this little like stuffed animal rabbit and put it in a little box. And so the kid turns back around and he sticks his hands in the side, kind of like a Dean's box type thing. He sticks his hands in the side and he feels, and he can tell it's either a dog or a bunny. Mm-hmm. And so he takes his hands out, and then we say, hey, we knew that there's in each one of these balloons, there's a card with a picture of an animal, all different animals, but I knew which color you'd pick. So you can go in, and so my daughter will pick up the prop, and one of the balloons falls off. So she goes pick it up and it pops. I was like, well, okay, it wasn't in that one. And so then all the gags, they deflate, they fly off. And in the end one, it pops, and it's a snake. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no, that's not it. I picked a dog or a bunny or whatever he thinks it was, and then it'll be a little blammo box. So he pulls the top off, the sides will slowly come down and reveal the snake. Mm-hmm. And we do snake photos after the show. My daughter does those. Yeah. So it'll be a good way to like introduce her, introduce the kid, use some of the fun props, support the dealer's room here, and just tie it in as like a little bit more of a family moment in the show. Mm-hmm. Which I used to really not like as a young magician watching other people with their kids on stage. I thought it cheapened it, and now I don't give a crap what people think. I want to have my kid in the show. So.
Being a parent now, yeah, a little bit different perspective.
Totally changed my vision, but yeah.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the show, and I'm looking forward to this evening and working with you then as well. I kind of felt the same way whenever that Tom Forgehan had asked me to MC the final night show. I called him the next day. I say, okay, now that you're sobered up, are you sure that you really wanted to? You had the right number when you were calling me about doing this. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Likewise.
So, yep. So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was David DaVinci. This is Scotty out. One of the things that is cornerstone of the Winter Carnival is the contest, which they have every year. And the person who has been a contest chairman here is Ed Ripley, who has handled it admirably again this year. Hello, Ed.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Good job on the contest. So how many contestants did we have actually this year?
So we had 15 contestants, and it filled up really, really fast. And we had more than 10 people on the alternate list before I finally shut the alternate list off. And of that, everybody that signed up originally competed except for one person who dropped out. So we had one alternate move in about a month ago.
And what were the categories?
So it was a combined show with close-up, with parlor, and with stage. And we revamped the judging seats so that we didn't give undue favor to close-up or to parlor or to stage. So everybody had kind of an even footing. And we made sure that the videography, sound, and that the performance space was tailored to highlight each of those categories, so that the contestants kind of had an even playing field.
Yeah, and you've been doing this for a long number of years, but before we go into that, tell me who the winners were this year.
Okay, so second place was Andy Lackey, and first place was Mark Hatfield. He got $500 trophy. And then we had People's Choice this year, so the audience gets to decide who wins that. There's a certificate and $250, and Mark Hatfield, our first place winner, got that as well.
And so that was something, again, each of the people who were there watching all of the contestants then were given tickets. Yeah. So as you exited, you could deposit those in the appropriate boxes for whomever you thought was your favorite.
Yeah, so you had to be there before the first act started and stay through the end in order to vote. But yeah, if they saw every act, they could pick the one they liked the best.
Was it a little bit difficult this year? I mean, this was a little bit different. I mean, you didn't have video contestants, I guess, or people submitting videos, or
so we did it the democratic way. We just took them in the order that they signed up.
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve. And we've kind of tried to do that every year because some people, this is their first chance to get in front of a big audience, to kind of be tested by fire, to see what kind of chops they have. And so it's a good chance to make. I don't want to just have all professionals come in and perform. We've got a lot of those in the shows. I want to make sure that everybody that really is trying to get their feet underneath them and get their time on stage gets a chance to be in front of people and see what it's like. Because I started out in the competition here as well, and as you know, I've been to a bunch of competitions, and it probably made me more conscious about the things that I need to do from contest to contest. It was an amazing journey, and it's taken me all over the world.
I'm going to be talking with Keith Fields soon about competition and the importance of competing. What would be your advice to get people to compete?
I would make sure that you present material that's strong, with a character that's genuinely you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. And at the end of the day, people are not coming to see a specific magic trick. They're coming to see you. So make them fall in love with you, highlight what's unique about you, and be genuine.
Yeah. Well, good advice. Yeah, from someone who's actually been a competitor and a winner at some of these contests.
Yeah.
So, very good. Thanks very much. That was Ed Ripley. This will be Scotty out. We are at the pizza party now, and everything is all over. We've concluded the convention on a high note with an excellent, most excellent evening show that's followed two other gala evening shows. And I'm here with one of the people who actually closed last night's show, Michael Trixx. Hey there, Michael.
What's up, Scott? How are you, man?
Fantastic. Yeah, you just rocked the house. You brought everybody to their feet. It was great. So much fun.
It was so awesome. I'm honored to be part of this 50th anniversary of this. I was here 2020, which was right when COVID was kicking in. Stuff was about to shut down. We were the last convention in America before everything really shut down. And I've always opened, when I do gala shows at conventions, I'm always an opening act, I guess because of my energy or whatever. I like to fire people up for the show.
That's a good point.
This is my very first time, closing a gala show. So I was a little nervous about it, but it rocked out, man. Everyone loved it, and it was great.
I don't know, one of the reasons I think dove workers are the first ones up is because they have to be loaded.
Because getting ready with the animals and stuff, you got to be careful with that. I say that working with bands and the keys is the same with magicians sometimes. When I tell them a time, I'm timing getting the birds ready for the show, you know, and the guitarist decides to do a 20-minute solo or a drum solo, it's a half hour. I'm like, my birds are ready. It happens with magicians too. You're supposed to do 20 minutes and you're up there 45 minutes. And so you got to keep the timing. That's why we do open a lot, the animal acts. But everything went smooth this time. The staff was great. Everyone here, I'm so happy to be here at this convention this year. It was great.
So what was one of your highlights for this convention?
The highlight for me was the lineup. Getting to hang with I'm good friends with Dan Sperry. I'm great friends with David DaVinci, who closed the show tonight. Amazing. Him and his wife, they drove 4 days to get here from Idaho with 10,000 pounds of equipment, big illusion show, and they're awesome. And just they brought in everybody I know and hang with. You know, you were here. You were the MC of the show tonight, and some people I didn't know. Like usually, you think you're around, you see all the same people. Everyone complains. Convention, always the same people. I was backstage today packing up my stuff because I left after closing the show last night, and this guy came up to me today when I walked in there. He's like, man, you got that $1 million smile, just your energy from the back of I was like way up in the back, and it shined to the back of the room, and it's not so nice. Can I open the door for you? Packing my, loading my stuff out today. I didn't know who it was. I stayed for the close-up show today, and he walks out. It's Giovanni, the guy who killed it. And I'm like, and his energy, his character is like the same thing, Right. Everyone was great at the close-up show. Eric Tate was there, and R. Paul Wilson. It was great. Giovanni came out, and just his character, his energy, funny and energetic. And so I went backstage again afterwards. I'm like, I'd never seen you, and I'm sorry, but I loved your energy, too. So he goes, it takes one crazy guy to know another. And, just what a great, fun act he was. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was overall a really good and powerful close-up show. We mentioned Giovanni and John Allen and Narpal Wilson. Eric Tate.
Yeah. And another guy I don't think I've seen, Bean.
Steve Bean.
Steve Bean, yeah. Mm-hmm. He had some great funny lines with stuff. Really funny, too. It was great.
Yeah, that was just really an all-star cast they had for close-up there today. And throughout the whole weekend, again, I think they pulled out all the stops saying, okay, well, if we're going to have one last one, we're going to, go out with a bang. And
absolutely. And as you know, the Friday night party they've always had for years. I was there last year at Steve's house, and that's fun. And they put together even an extra thing for the convention. Terry Evans Wood, who's been here, the longest running show in history here in Pigeon Forge.
Yep.
He's got his own theater now, and what a great guy he is, Terry Evans Wood.
Did you go and see his show?
I did. I'd seen his show back when he was at Wonderworks, and I think the other theater, but I went to his new theater tonight and saw that. And now that it's over, I guess we're allowed to say, I came in a day early and got the tour of his house, the Magic Mansion, and that is crazy cool, the stuff he's got put together in that house, man. The history and the passion he has for what he does, telling the stories in the rooms he has, the Titanic room, the Willy Wonka room,
P.T.
Barnum room, and he got teary-eyed telling stories about that, and what a passion that guy has. Terry, if you're listening, I love you, man. Thank you for everything.
He's really keeping magic alive in so many ways, performing and then even eating and breathing it at his home.
I'm getting teary-eyed just thinking about the passion he has. It's like what I have. When you love it, you love it. You can tell when you watch that guy. Right. I was at his show tonight, and he had people pick random numbers, doing a card prediction thing, and a lady came up and who I didn't know, and she picked two random people and then picked someone from the back. And where's Michael? I didn't say anything. Where's Michael Trixx? I don't know. And Terry stopped and said, man, if you guys have seen Michael, I love watching him perform because you can tell he loves what he does and the fun he has. And so a little shout out from him and his show tonight. It's awesome.
For those people who have not seen the Magic Mansion, you can actually get tickets, and he gives tours of that, so it's open to the public.
Yeah, he's like the Copperfield of Pigeon Forge, but the public's allowed to go. And if you're in anyone listens to this, magicians or not, which I'm sure it's mostly magicians, but if you make a trip to Pigeon Forge, please pay the money and take the tour of Terry's house. It's so cool, man.
It's outside of town. It's a little bit of a drive, so it's
it was
not
like 20,
26
here. Minutes, I think.
Right.
Not far.
But it's not on the main strip kind of a thing of Pigeon Forge. It's something it's kind of in a residential area, I guess, if you will.
And it's a cool ride out there. The little curvy roads, you end up in the big mountains, and this big old spooky house. It looks like, Munster-style house. It looks like it'll be a magic mansion.
Well, when you say that, actually, the two things he does, especially in the winter, he'll have a special Halloween tour of the house, just like he has a Halloween
themed show
version of his show. And then also he has a Christmas version of his house and of his show as
right,
well.
so there's 26 or 30 Christmas trees he does, but the Halloween thing, some of it was still actually set up in the Disney part of the house, so some of that was covered up, but which I love more, being a freak. I know you're a horror movie guy, you would love it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So going through there, and it was top notch, Halloween stuff still that hasn't been torn down yet.
Yeah.
But still active. You walk by, the witch comes alive and says, whatever. It was really cool. He goes all out to set every room he has is meticulous, awesome.
And he's always working on something new. Every time I go there, I say, well, this is going to be something I'm going to be opening soon, or I'm going to put a new addition
I'm
here
sure
or
it's
something.
changed. He's really good friends with Steve Chesaday, who we all know, and is a great listener of the podcast, too. And Steve said, I haven't been there in years. I'm sure there's new stuff. There always is. It's like us in magic. It's never over.
That's
You're
true.
always working on something, improving stuff, and making it better. And
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well, which is what they've done with this convention also, and making this better all the time, and it's like they're done. I think they can't do any better than what they've done here now this year, and so now people are just going to have to figure out where they're going to be going from here. Perhaps Magic at the Beach in Myrtle Beach be the closest place, but
it was, I guess, pretty emotional for them running it for 50 years here, and talking to some of the older folks that were here who come every year or have been to 40, 45 of the 50, and, they grew up, one older guy today, I've been coming since I was 13. I probably missed 7 or 8 of them, but I come every year, and it's pretty emotional for them, I'm sure. When that's where you see all your buddies every year here. Come here. It's part of people's trip. I sat next to people at Terry's show tonight that they met here, or their first date weekend away was here, and this was their 41st anniversary, and they came back here for the last final one. And I mentioned, it's sad that it's over, but it happens. Stuff's, not going like it used to. But give it 5 years and do a reunion thing, and everyone will come back together, bring back all your best acts, do a big thing, and it won't be forgotten for sure. It's great.
No, it won't be. It'll figure out. It'll be another iteration someplace, I think, down the road. That's for sure. Well, Michael, always good to see you. Safe trips back home. Always good.
I love you, man, and good to see you. I saw you work tonight. You were the MC of the close of the night show tonight, and David DaVinci killed it. The shows are great. All the shows are great. Tom, the whole staff, he was great, and you're awesome. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Love you too, man.
Thanks, brother.
That was Michael Trixx, and that was also, I think, a real wrap for the end of the 50th Winter Carnival of Magic, and we're all going to be heading back home to our respective places with great memories of a time well spent with friends over the years, and a great magic convention here this year. So I was going to say until next year when I see you here, but I'll see you at another convention somewhere down the road. Till then, this is Scotty out.